Hey, how's it going? So today we're gonna do LeetCode 37 Sudoku solver. So write a program to solve Sudoku puzzle by filling the empty cells. A Sudoku solution must satisfy all of the following rules. Each of the digit 1 to 9 must exactly once appear in each row, and exactly once in each column, and exactly once in each 3 times 3 sub-boxes of the grid. So the dot character indicates empty cells. So notice that in the input, it's not actually numbers. There are strings of numbers. And your output should be a failed Sudoku. But here it says that do not return anything, modify board in place instead. So, okay, to solve this problem, you have to think about how human beings solve the Sudoku by hand. So for me, like I will go to an empty cell, then I will try to test number 1 to number 9, and for example, I will try test number 1 here, and I will see if 1 already exists in the row, if it's 1 already in the column, or 1 is already in the subgrid, and because it is not, so I can temporarily place 1 here, and I move on to my next one, and I will try from 2 here because I already placed 1 here, so I will try 2 here, and I will try to see if 2 already appeared in the row, in the column, and in the empty cell. It does not, so I put 2 here, and so on and so forth. I go to the next empty cell and try number 1 to 9, and try to fill the array. If at some point I cannot fill the number, then it probably means that in the last step, the 1 I placed here probably was not right. So I will probably go back and then change it to 2 and try the rest of the empty cell again. So that's how we as humans solve the Sudoku problem, and that's exactly actually what the computer do this problem as well. So basically, in the algorithm, you just need to loop through the cell and find an empty cell, and in each empty cell, you try number 1 to number 9 and try to see if the number already appeared in the row, column, and the subgrid. If it doesn't, it's not present, then you can place that number inside, and you recursively check the rest of the board. And yeah, that's it. So this problem is not actually that hard. So like I said, we need to find the empty cells, right? So we write for loops to traverse the board. And if we find an empty cell, then we have to check if that number already appeared in the row, column, and in the subgrid, right? So actually, we can write it as a helper function. Let's name it is valid. So we pass in the board, we pass in the position I and j, and we pass in so actually we need to try each of the numbers. So let's name it number string, and So it's actually 1 till 9. For each, so if there is an empty cell, we loop through, we try each number. And we try to see whether that number is valid. If it is valid, then we can place that number in the board position at this point because it's valid, right? And we recursively call our function that we just wrote on the new board because the board is updated, right? And remember, the solve Sudoku, the main function only has one parameter, the board. If this one returns true, it means that it's solvable. For it's solvable, then I can return true. If it's not solvable, I will place it with dot again. So basically I backtrack and the number doesn't, so the number, whatever number we are testing, it is not going to work at some point. So we put the number back to empty and we wait for the next for loop to try another number. If we have an empty cell and I tried everything and it doesn't return true, it means it's impossible to fill the empty cell with a valid number. At this point, I can return false. But if at the end of the whole thing, I haven't returned true or false, it means I am at the end of the grid, and then I can return true. So again, you loop through the entire board and find an empty cell, and you try any number from 1 to 9. And if that number is valid, you can temporarily place the number in the board, and you recursively test whether the rest of the board can be solvable. If it can be solvable, then return true. Otherwise, you place it back to the empty cell and wait for the next iteration to try another number. If I tried for an empty cell, I tried everything, every number, and it's still not possible to fill out the Sudoku board with valid number, I know that I can, like, there's nothing I can do. I have to return false. It's impossible. Otherwise, at the end of the, if I am at the end of the cell, then and everything seems fine, then I can return true. So that's our main function. Let's try to write the helper function called isValid. Let's name it row column. So isValid. So basically, we're checking whether the number string has no duplicate in the row column and the subgrid, right? So first of all, let's check the row. So this is because, remember, we are passing our position here. So we know our current row and current column, right? So we know our current row. So for the row, we only change the column from 0 to 8, and we try to see if there is already a number that is equal to our attempt number, right? If there is already a duplicate, then we have to return false. So next we